Hello again, everybody. This is Brian again, and today I thought I'd go over the 1978 Kiss Mego figures. These are 12-inch figures that were produced by a company called Mego that did a lot of toys in the 1970s. They did a lot of licensed figures and things. They did superheroes and Star Trek, Planet of the Apes, Dukes of Hazzard, and quite a few other licenses. These are the Kiss Mego figures that I've had for quite a while. We've got Paul, of course, Gene, Ace, and Peter. And I thought I'd kind of go through each one and kind of tell a little bit about where I got them, because I've had them for a long time. And for me, Kiss memorabilia, a lot of it, the fun of it to me is kind of thinking back on when I got something and where I got it and why I got it. But I always wanted these Mego figures since I was about 10 or 11 when they came out. But we just didn't have them around that I saw in my mid-sized town I lived in. I remember seeing Paul one time in the toy section of a grocery store, probably around 1979. But that was it. I had a friend who would tell me about the commercial. I didn't even get to see the commercial. So these guys were something I wanted way before I would even consider myself a Kiss collector of any sort. You know, I just loved the band and was a kid and wanted these toys. So I'll just start with Paul here. Paul I got when I was about 13 or 14. I had a great aunt that knew I liked Kiss, and even though my folks were like anything but Kiss fans and really didn't want me having Kiss stuff, she sent this to me for Christmas one year, and she had found it loose like this in a doll store somewhere down in Oklahoma. But yeah, so that was my first Kiss figure, and you can call them dolls, whatever, it doesn't matter. I call them action figures. That's what they were to me when I was a kid. But anyway, so this is the Paul I got. And you'll notice he looks a lot like Paul, and a lot of people already know this, but the head sculpt for Paul is actually the Daryl Dragon from the Captain and Tennille head sculpt that Mego had used on their Captain figure a few years earlier. So I guess the story goes that when Mego approached Kiss for the first time, or showed them prototypes of the Kiss figures that they wanted to produce, all the faces were the same, all the head sculpts were the same, and they just used different makeup, paint applications on them. And what happened is Kiss, rightfully so, said, "Hey, we want to be individuals." And so they went back to the drawing board and they actually resculpted a couple heads. They resculpted Gene and they resculpted Ace. But Paul is actually a Daryl Dragon head sculpt, but it looks a lot like Paul. Anyway, so there's Paul. Stand up, Paul. All right, I got Gene, probably about 1987 or 88. Back when these things were like incredibly hard to find. There was no eBay, there was no internet. So you just kind of had to either, know somebody or stumble upon these guys. And that's kind of what happened with Gene. Buddy and I lived in San Diego at the time, and this would have been 1987, I think. And we walked into a store that sold rock and roll T-shirts and pins and buttons and kind of rock and roll memorabilia. It was called Musicade. Some of you may in the San Diego area may remember that store. But we walked in and they had a Paul and a Gene hanging above the front counter, and we were just like gobsmacked, that, wow, Mego dolls, can't believe we found them. So we snatched them up. I got the Gene and he got the Paul. So this is the Gene I got way back when at Musicade. You can see that they use the same boots on these guys in different colors and paint the details on. Their legs are kind of covered with these, see there, kind of these cuffs that make the top of the boot. And these are kind of like foil covered vinyl on Ace and Gene. So that's the Gene that I got. Ace and Peter I got, again, pre-internet, pre-eBay. So I paid a lot of money for these guys. They were in great shape. There's Ace. I should also note that the bodies on these guys were the same bodies that were used for the 12-inch Star Trek figures that Mego did. Maybe the Buck Rogers figures. So if you're ever looking for a body to replace one of these Kiss doll bodies, you might go to some cheaper Star Trek figures to look for those. So I got Ace, and then I got Peter, and I think I paid, I mean, good night. I mean, like, I want to say $250 way back when. He came with just a trashed box, but he was minty and was still on the card inside. So there's the Peter. But I can't believe how much I paid for these. And then once eBay came along, it was like the floodgates opened and it became apparent that they weren't nearly as rare as they seemed to be. And I know that happened with a lot of collectibles. So anyway, kind of as an aside, I really wanted to get these guys in the box. And I didn't really have a chance until a little bit later on. And this is just kind of a fun aside. Let me get these guys out of here. I used to be a comic book artist, and I did a graphic novel for DC Comics called Batman Absolution, and I drew and painted the whole book. You can kind of see some of the pages in there. But this was my job for a while. I was a comic book artist. It's kind of a fun big page there. And what I did the Batman book, around 2000 or so. So that's that. And then after that, I did some Marvel Hulk, Incredible Hulk comics for Marvel. It's called Batman Absolution. I did all this work, the covers and the interior art and stuff. But my point in bringing this up is that there was a lot of Kiss collectible merchandise that I really had wanted for years. And when I got the chance to do these books and was making a decent amount of money off them and selling, I was selling the original artwork to collectors. Here's some of the inside of the whole book. I was selling some of the original artwork to art collectors and making a decent amount of money off of that stuff. And so that's when I was able to put some money towards some of the Kiss collectibles I'd always kind of wanted to have, like the original Bali pinball machine and these guys. I was able to finally get the Mego dolls in the box. And so here's Paul. If you haven't seen these before, the so-called accessories that came with them were actually cutouts on the back of the box that you would cut out and put together. Like here's Peter's drum. You'd take these and kind of paper craft them together like this shows here. But these are all mint, brand new. The boxes aren't in 100% perfect shape, but they're pretty nice. I kind of wish that Mego had made this a bigger window so you could see some of their costumes in there, but oh well, we got that nice cube shot there that we're used to seeing, but it's perfect for this era. So there's Paul. There's Ace. He's still got his headband on. These guys have never been off their backer boards. They basically use the exact same box for every figure, and then just change the little catalog number up in the corner there. And then you could tell who you had, I guess, by looking at the names at the bottom and matching it up with the guy in the box. Here's Gene. Again, the same all around. And there's Peter, and he still has his headband on too. So I was really excited to get those and some other things. Like about that time I got the lunchbox and the Kiss Your Face makeup kit. I wanted to show these real quick. These, a company called Figures Toy Company came along not too many years ago and started making reproductions of these Mego Kiss dolls. And these are the 8-inch versions. I didn't buy the 12-inch versions because I already had the original Megos and didn't feel like buying reproductions again, but I thought these 8-inch ones were cool because Mego was so like big on 8-inch figures back in the 70s. Let me grab something here. That a lot of Kiss fans wished that they had produced these in 8-inch format because they would have gone with so many other Mego figures of the time. Like for instance, here's a Star Trek figure, and you can see that he's kind of more in scale with that than he is in scale with the original Mego doll. You can see how much bigger that Mego doll is than the 8-inch reproduction. And like I said, they did do 12-inch reproductions as well, but I just stuck with the 8-inch ones. And I've got a lot more of these Figures Toy Company figures that I'll be showing in the future. All sorts of different eras and things. So there's Peter. There's Ace. These have kind of a protective plastic on them to kind of keep them from getting scratched up. There's Ace, and they're kind of nice little reproductions of the original Mego dolls. Last one here is Gene. And I'll show you Superman next to him. This is an 8-inch Mego Superman. And you can see that he is, you know, I mean, the Kiss dolls have tall boots and stuff on them, but these are basically the same scale. And the bodies that are on these 8-inch Kiss dolls are actually near perfect reproductions of the bodies that are on these old 8-inch Megos. So that's that. I just wanted to kind of go over the Mego dolls, give a little history about them, where they've come. Where they're going is Figures Toy Company is still making these figures. They make them in 8-inch and 12-inch sizes. We've got Destroyer figures coming out soon. We've got Dynasty costume figures coming out soon. So the Mego legacy is alive and well. And thanks for watching. I'll be back again sometime soon with something else. Take care, guys.